for people to understand that no one is how they project themselves on Facebook or Instagram or social media.
Wow.
Everyone needs assistance, and it's not weak to reach out. So find someone that will listen to you, whether it's a friend or a mental health person or something, but just know that you're not alone, and talking and reaching out is really a very strong thing to do, not the opposite.
Yeah, that's true.
Welcome to LivDen by Zoe Therapy Services. I'm your host, Micah Faye, and I'm excited to share with you a community of experts who specialize in helping you feel fantastic. That's what LivDen aims to be, an online hub for DIY wellness, led by the experts and curated by folks who care. In this wellness series, I interview Richmond community leaders, vendors, and healers to empower you with a toolkit, one filled with healthy practices to make every day just a little bit better. So welcome to LivDen, your online comfy couch, surrounded by friends and supported by experts. Come on in. We're excited to have you. Hey y'all, and welcome back to LivDen. I'm your host, Micah Faye, and today we have not one, but two excellent guests. They're here from the CFIT community, and first we have the chair, Lynne Wingfield, and we have our financial consultant for nonprofits, Miss Nannette Shor. All right, y'all are a little different than all of our other interviews. What is a CFIT?
So CFIT community is actually a separate arm of what we started about 10 years ago in the county. That's our employee wellness program, which we deemed CFIT because we are in Chesterfield and we're about fitness and well-being. And the county has been trying for a number of years to focus on well-being for the community.
Yeah.
So as we looked at some of our programming and some of our partners with our employee wellness program, we kind of changed focus and looked at how can we do similar type focuses for the people who live, learn, work, and play in the county. So from that, we have created the CFIT community. It is now a nonprofit. We got our nonprofit status in fall of 2020, and now we are working on partnerships. We have a board. We have all putting the pieces in place to really be able to become a force for people, for resources for health and well-being in Chesterfield County.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. I love the distinction of, what is it, live, learn, work, and play?
Yes.
So that's really anyone who kind of comes in contact
Absolutely.
with Chesterfield County in any way. What made y'all decide on that as sort of your model? Because it's rehearsed. It's something you've said before.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what made you decide?
One is it's part of the county's mission and strategic planning for the county government. And because there are so many people that we know enjoy parts of Chesterfield, they may live in Chesterfield but work in Henrico.
Okay.
They may come from New York down to one of our phenomenal sports facilities that we now have for a lacrosse tournament.
Sure.
Or, grandparents who have lived somewhere else their whole life and have moved here because other family are here. So we want to make it not just for the people who reside there, but for anyone who crosses through. And we know that the regional Richmond metro area, there's a lot of people. Some people are afraid to cross the river, but most of us are not. And there is so much, so many resources and so many wonderful things. So we don't want it to be, specifically just for one group. We want it to really be able to grab anybody that's coming through for whatever reason.
Sure. So what are some cool things that are just happening right now that y'all can tell me about in CFIT?
So we've been doing a lot the last few months, building the brand and creating our board. So really a lot of the most fabulous things recently have been around the fundraising pieces and getting the things in place where we can really start implementing specific programming and initiatives.
Yeah.
So the most phenomenal thing I think in the past year, even through the pandemic, is the partners that we've made and have been willing to fund and partner and help us create because they believe in this vision and mission that we have.
Yeah.
And watching some things actually start to build. So we just recently had our first board meeting, which was a really big deal for a nonprofit and for a group of people who this initiative is founded through Chesterfield County government, but is a separate nonprofit. So we really have the best of both worlds. All of the resources that the county has, our mental health services, our libraries, our parks and rec, that's phenomenal. The planning department that does a lot of the things with trails and communities throughout Chesterfield. We have their partnership, but also we have some phenomenal funding and other programming partners. Our main and our original funder was Virginia Credit Union, and still is a partner. And they really are the people who came on board and said, we believe in this, and we're going to give you some funds to help, have a consultant come in and help you create this and build this piece. But getting as we talked to, and a lot of them have been Zoom or Teams or Google Meets.
Everything.
Or the buttons are different on the screen, no matter who, but all the buttons are there. When we pitch this idea to people, whether it's Virginia Credit Union, Ortho Virginia, Pocahontas State Park, sports backers, the YMCA of Greater Richmond, people jump on board immediately. That's the exciting piece.
Yeah.
So we are now actually working on our website, because we know before we really launch individual activities, we have to have a landing site for people to come get resources. And so that we're working on. But seeing these things, it's kind of like building a house.
Yeah.
You can talk about it for a long time. So we've had the land, and now we've cleared the land. So, and we have that foundation, which is kind of the board and our partners. So we're starting to see some of the foundation go up, which is a really exciting thing.
Yeah.
None would have happened without the start that Virginia Credit Union gave us.
Right.
And having Nannette come on board and help us. I'm a almost 35 year employee of Chesterfield County Public Schools.
Oof.
I don't know about nonprofits. I don't know about how any of this works. I believe in what we are doing. There's a lot of people in the county and a lot of partners that believe. That doesn't mean you're able to get to where we are now and execute and create this nonprofit. Right. I know the health education pieces of it. I know none of the others.
Right.
So having somebody come on and help us has been what's made this initiative, where we've had others that have kind of been successful a little bit but never really took off.
Yeah.
This is really, we're setting it up in a way that it's really going to be meaningful for the community, because we're taking care of these pieces from the beginning. So that's exciting. That's what's exciting for me. I hope if we come back a year from now, we can say all the specific things. We're doing this campaign, and we're building a community garden in this community, and we're doing trails, and we're doing, but for right now, it's building this big concept. We have to build the house before we furnish it, I guess, is a way to think about it.
All the things behind the scenes that I think have happened that are the most exciting over the last now 2.5 years. And it's taken that long to do it the right way and make sure that we're set up. But I think by come fall, there will be a lot of those things that we can begin saying, here's what the public can see, here's what you can find on the website as far as resources, and the support from the community will just explode, because everybody will now know about it. And right now it's growing, and it's this internal insulary kind of growth in group, because we need to build as you said, the foundation, which I think is a great way to describe it.
I think about being a teacher, and we get these emails that are like, walk with us, we'll give you a Fitbit. And I'm always like, delete. Like, I don't even think about it. I don't look at it. I don't care about it. My coworkers, if there is a competition with other schools, that is when they get involved. But like beyond that, I don't know, maybe it's just my school, but I don't feel like we have a lot of buy-in for this kind of thing. So I appreciate that it kind of started probably from that frustration, right? Of like, you care about health and wellness very much, and you probably saw your coworkers like, I don't know, lounging around and eating donuts, and which there's nothing wrong with. You can all eat donuts. All eat donuts.
Donuts are mental well-being.
Yes, unless you are like me and you are celiac, and then you eat gluten-free donuts.
That's right.
But I appreciate very much that this likely sprung from a frustration that you saw,
Well, and actually, my job during the day, I am the employee wellness coordinator for Chesterfield County Schools and Government. So my job is creating the employee wellness program that is now in the county school and government employees.
Right.
And actually, that's what sparked the success of that, and
Wow,
seeing
yeah.
behavior change, but knowing that all of these teachers
Right.
or a utility worker or a bus driver or
Right.
a police officer, they have families. A lot of them live in the community. So what can we do to surround the CFIT community? Really is going to hopefully create an environment where that CFIT and the actual logo for CFIT, which is the same logo that we've used for our employee program, we determined to use the same logo for this program because we have 12,000 employees.
Wow.
And there's some like you that they see the information, they're like, I mean, it's not for me, but they recognize the logo. And we have a lot of people that associate the logo with a specific program, which would be employee related. So the programs aren't going to be the same as what the community sees, but
Right.
the overall idea that we want people to be engaged, healthy, happy, and productive is the
Right.
same for both. So we decided to use that logo. We've changed the color palette for it so it will look a little bit different.
But
But
still.
because we already had these 12,000 people that recognized what that was, they look at it, oh, this has something to do with walking or has something to do with being healthy.
Right.
We thought it was a good way to kind of engage everyone.
Yeah.
My job as the employee wellness coordinator will be to explain to our employees, conceptually it's the same, program-wise is different.
Yeah.
Because we offer some really good programs for our employees that are tied to health insurance and those types of things that
Yeah.
we can't offer to the community. But like I said, philosophically, the idea behind it is different. So just I graduated from I grew up in Chesterfield. I
Wow.
graduated from a Chesterfield high school. I graduated from VCU. I came right back and started teaching in Chesterfield in 1985. That's my roots, and I have siblings, my family, everyone still lives in that community.
Right.
So I really feel like for me, I love my job and I love what I do, but having the CFIT community piece be added, it just enables me to loop everybody else in to something that I'm already so passionate about. And I am one who really thinks, by the way, the coffee's great, donuts are great. Like I am very much, it's about moderation. So the programs that it's get a little more activity.
Right.
It's not really hard line, which some people, you have to figure out what works for different strokes for different folks.
Right.
But really, when it comes to overall well-being, you just have to understand where you are and try to take little steps forward, no matter what, whether it's something with mental health, spiritual, environmental, financial. And so that's what with CFIT community, originally the focus was really on active living, so more just the physical activity pieces. And a couple years ago, we decided if we're going to focus on well-being, let's focus on overarching. So we have adopted 8 areas of well-being to include the financial, spiritual, environmental, emotional, mental, physical, all of the different areas, because they're connected. And if we didn't understand it wasn't connected, they were all connected before the last year and a half, we know now.
We do, yes, ma'am.
You being a teacher and knowing the strain on teachers and students and families when you have something like a pandemic hit that we were not. I was watching a TED Talk the other day about resiliency and how you can tell how much we've struggled, some of us, when something like this happens. We are so efficient in how we do things. When there's a break in the chain, we haven't known, we can't figure out, we're not able to kind of be resilient and come back from it. So we're hoping these types of programs will get people the resources they need. And we really are looking at, for the community, we know Chesterfield, like a lot of communities, have so many resources. I mentioned a few of the departments that the county government has. Then we have school division pieces. We have fabulous partners. Like I mentioned, Sports Backers. Just what Sports Backers does in the community is phenomenal. So we have all these resources. How do people reach find the resources that they're looking for when they're
Right.
in need of it. And that's really what we feel like one of the main concepts for CFIT community is being that bridge to
Right.
the family who may have a teen that is struggling with some mental, and they can get on Chesterfield.gov's website and get to mental health, but
So hard
having
to
us have
navigate.
another avenue to help them get there.
Yeah.
Or if there are people looking for a trail to walk, or there are people looking for a healthy restaurant to take their kids to. So if we really want to be that brand in Chesterfield, we want it on billboards, we want the stickers on the back of, we've been saying cars. So people in the back of their cars have their 10K sign, they have their church that they attend or something. And then we want the CFIT community logo to be there, like it's just part of the community. But I have added, it doesn't necessarily have to be on a vehicle, because we do support non-vehicular and all the
That's true.
trails and
That's
things. So it
true.
can be on your kayak. It can
On
be
your
on
water
your bike.
bottle.
It could be on your water bottle.
I
Yeah,
want
but
one for
we
my
want
water
it to
bottle.
be that thing that you automatically think of. I wonder if there's a lacrosse tournament happening in the area, and they can get on this app or whatever we may be able to create to kind of help people. So taking all the things that are already happening and finding a way to connect people to them, while also creating our own events. We want to have events and initiatives that we do with our partners.
Yeah. I was thinking actually this morning about, I'm a millennial who teaches Gen Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about how I expect information to be synthesized for me already, you know what I mean? Which is a relatively new sort of cultural mindset. But my kids, like, they really out here expecting that the internet can answer their most specific questions when they ask them in the broadest way, you know what I mean? But what you're doing is you're synthesizing information so that folks in my generation and the generation coming up now have that synthesized information. It's all there for them in one place, and I think that's so important, because we have like a saying, if it takes more than 3 clicks, they won't do it. So this is your 3 clicks. You type in, Chesterfield blah blah blah, you click on CFIT, you click on whatever drop down menu. There it is. You're ready. I think that's amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what we are also understand that within the county there are you have every age group.
Yeah.
And so we want to be really aware as we create programs and initiatives and communication methods that we look at I have an 83-year-old mother.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this runs, she'll be 83. She turns 83 in June.
Okay,
so you
so
think,
right
I'm not
after
going to
her
get in
birthday,
trouble for saying she's 83.
No, right after. She will be
And an 84-year-old mother-in-law that live in the county. And then I also have, a 22-year-old nephew. And so you do want the spectrum. And then you have people that live, Chesterfield is really so diverse across the county. So we have 440 square miles, and we have very rural areas. And we have I know some people call like Hall Street, Midlothian Turnpike the city. Now, we know that's really suburban areas, but to a lot of people, it's like the city.
The city.
Because there's 10 lanes of traffic and lots of craziness.
Yes.
But then we have schools that may be on main roads that you could never have walkability to them. But then we have schools sitting in the middle of communities. Why can't we make sure that there are trails and things so if kids want to bike or walk to school, they have that ability? Or if you have aging, a lot of the big new things now are on aging communities. And we really, especially as from my perspective and my age, I want to make sure I'm taking care of the people that are ahead of me and the people that are behind me as far as aging. So, and accessibility to things because of people with disabilities. We have lots of, across the county, different populations of people. So we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we want to make sure that if there's something in a community that they really want, we want to go to communities, not just say Chesterfield County as a whole, we're going to do X.
Yeah.
Things in Bon Air may be different than things in Ettrick or things I live in Moseley. what do those communities want? What will they grab onto and take care of and own if we help bring it there? Could be community gardens. I get so excited. I love the farmers markets and I get really excited, but I get really excited too as you drive around the county. There are places that already have these community gardens.
Yeah.
So you see people, they're in there, they're pulling weeds or they're planting. They have taken ownership as a community, growing these things so everybody gets the benefit.
Yeah.
That's what we want to help. So one community may want a community garden, and we're going to go find the partners and help them get that implemented and communicated.
Sure.
Another one may want resources to connect a park to a community.
Yeah.
So those are the things that in part of our planning is to find out from the communities, to do an assessment and an evaluation so we know.
Yeah.
There are some countywide, there are some regional and some universal things.
Mm-hmm.
Being more active. Just be active. Kids need to be active 60 minutes a day. Adults need to be active 30 minutes a day. So put on your tennis shoes and go take a walk. I mean, those things are across the board. Yeah. But some things may really be based on community.
Yeah. Well, it's clear your love for Chesterfield. I see it. Miss Nannette, why Chesterfield?
So we were connected about 2.5 years ago through one of the Virginia Credit Union partners that I had met. And as soon as I heard about this project, I knew this is something I wanted to be involved in. I knew that this was going to give something to the community that was very special. And you talk about the clicks, and I my hope, and I'm sure it's Lynne's also, is that they won't type just Chesterfield activities, that someone will type CFIT community and go right to the site, that it will become a household name. The idea that is very possible to happen very quickly really gives me hope that the community can continue to grow and be sustainable and be healthy and take care of each other and be healthy in all those areas. Mm-hmm. Seek out financial help if you need it. Seek out mental health if you need it. And so I heard about it and I thought, this is something really exciting. This is something that can be a household name that other counties will want to really know how we did this and do it themselves. And it was just something that was like sort of in front of your face, but no one was really doing it. And here to take all these pieces and pull it together. And you can find all this information in different pieces. Mm-hmm. But for this to be, at least the first floor of the house is the resource center. And that you can go to cfitcommunity.org and find out anything you want to know about how to take care of yourself, your family, your community. And there's so many great organizations doing so many things that if we can help pull those together so that the resources are there, that's what really excites me. And that's what I just love the work, and I love the passion that this team has, and I could see that right from the beginning. They weren't going to let this go. Yeah. And this was going to get to where they wanted it. Yeah. And, the right things take time, but that's really why I chose to at least be considered to be a partner with them.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, we know about Miss Lynn's daily. What does your daily look like for CFIT? I know you probably consult with other
Yes, I do,
folks.
But this is one of my larger ones, which I love. And my daily is thinking about what does CFIT need to do next, and what is going to get us to the next level? What's going to get that first floor built so we can have guests in, if you will? And we can, and I love that house analogy because we're really still, at that level where people don't really know about us, and that's okay. That's not a problem, except the partners, that we've been speaking to. But what can we do next? Who can I connect CFIT with? What companies maybe aren't even, from a business perspective, connected in Chesterfield, but of course have employees that live in Chesterfield, or they may run events in Chesterfield, or they have resources that can be very beneficial to CFIT community. So I'm always thinking about who is the next person that can really meet the organization and understand what's being done and hopefully be a part of it. The beauty about this is we've not met one person who said, don't think we're interested, it's not a good idea. Everyone has said this is amazing, and maybe they're not financial partners, but they're resource partners. But they've taken the time to listen and hear and say, we want to figure out how to be connected in this.
Can I ask how you found Zoe?
Through Julie.
Yeah.
Which one? Barbaro?
Yep.
Classic Julie.
Yes.
Knowing everybody.
Yes. So through my employee wellness programming, we had done a lot of work with HCA. So Julie and her group had come in and done mindfulness training. She's just phenomenal.
Classic.
Yes.
I love that woman.
Yes. She's yes. So that's where, as I reached out to her, she
Yeah.
had said, come and talk to Yvonne and
Yeah.
kind of see what's going on. And like Nannette had said, I think what makes this really something that's going to solidify and going to stay, because we are working on the partnerships we've been able to get, which have been because of our partnership with Nannette. We have the community pieces, but the county, having the county as a standing founding partner, the ability that helps us so much be able to communicate and reach out to the community. One of the main departments, I had mentioned several departments, Parks and Rec and Planning, that are on our board, mental health.
Yeah.
But there's a department in Chesterfield County called Citizen Information and Resources. So everything from the aging community to youth planning and development, they have some transportation programming. This is the department that has all the areas that reach out to the diverse community that we have in Chesterfield. So the CFIC community, actually, the landing place for this organization, as far as the county government goes, is in that department.
Yeah.
So we have connections straight to all of these. Then there's so many programs already, but that kind of helps us get a straight line to people in the community. And then we will also be able to do the same for the departments, as once we get really well known, we can say, did you know that the county, and like I had mentioned, I've been here my whole life.
Right.
Some of the things I find out, we have a meeting and our fabulous Parks and Recreation participant will tell us about, they just had gotten a grant and created, they have a mobile playground that they bring
That's so
to
cool.
Different communities that are not communities that would have standing playgrounds, bring them out, and working with groups like for the National Night Out that's coming. So you have community groups working with the county to do things. CFIC community then becoming part of that is great. But I hear those things all the time. I'm like, I've lived here forever. I didn't even know that we had X, Y, and Z. So I figured, if I've been here, I'm 58. If I've been here most of 58 years and there's things I still don't know, then I know we can help people find out. If we can help people get one resource that they need, that they didn't know how to get, then that's a success.
And ideally, if we could take that mobile playground as an example to the parking lot at Virginia Credit Union and do a wellness seminar, a financial wellness seminar, or here and do some type of mental health, fair, like combined, so that parents can come, know that there's something for their kids, or have a park where, they need some equipment, and maybe a little bank and a little grocery, and all those are built so that there is additional resources for the children, but that can be happening while adults are doing some other event.
Can I ask? The United States isn't terribly good at this. I think when I think of this kind of thing, I think of Holland. They're excellent at this. They do this so well. They're excellent at building community. I think of places in South America, excellent at this. What's y'all's model? Where did you get this model from? Because I imagine it is not the United States.
Well, there are other cities in the United States doing this, and we certainly learned about that. But you can talk more, but I think it really stemmed from the fact that you all were very focused in Chesterfield County, the employees and the students, and how does it grow to the next level? Because a healthy Chesterfield means a healthier Richmond, a healthier Henrico, a healthier Goochland. Because people do cross the river now.
We do.
I've always lived on this side of the river. I'm not afraid to cross the river anymore. Don't need a passport. But it creates a healthier community. And again, you can probably speak to it better, but I think they had the forethought to say, there's nothing bad. This is only good to say, let's help. And so realizing that other communities across the country were starting to do this. And there's so many amazing nonprofits out there, organizations that have made it their mission to serve the community in ways that the community needs. Food, housing, mental health services, everything across the board, playgrounds, and whatever needs to be done. There are so many people who have risen to the occasion to make sure that happens. I met a woman who, her daughter loves art, and through COVID, her 10-year-old daughter realized that there are kids who don't have access to art, and how art is therapy. And so she this 10-year-old and her mother started this nonprofit to go out in the community and help people. We want to bring those people to the forefront and help the nonprofits that are in the community, help the trade organizations, help the anybody that is serving the community to be together and come. And so it didn't necessarily answer your question, but
No, I love it.
it really shows that no matter where you are, if you can be a part of CFIT or something like this, the whole community has a greater impact.
You know, I have a friend who's not from here. I was just reflecting on the crossing the river thing. Do you know how often we say that? Because she went at one point she leaned over to me and she was like, "Is there just one river? Are there lots? Why are we crossing so many rivers?" And I was like, I live in Richmond proper. I live in the city, and we cross the river to get to Manchester.
Right.
And to me, that is crossing the river, but to y'all, it is going like truly south.
Well, and I think it has a completely different meaning for, like I mentioned, my mother,
Right.
Who has lived in this area of the state her whole life. And so she lived in very rural Dinwiddie County.
Yes.
And they would literally come. She says they had cars, so I'm believing her. But the crossing the river, I mean, that was a whole different conceptually. And then as the communities kind of developed, you had kind of the West End thing, and then the more rural Chesterfield. So you had, I think, through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I think it was a different thing now. Absolutely. And I, even though I have been around a long time, that never crossed my mind either. It's like I've lived in 4 or 5 different areas, all within Chesterfield, but I've never lived outside of Chesterfield except when I was in college. And so that concept was really, so somebody that is very young or new to the area, that it really means.
It was funny.
Right. It would be telling somebody to dial a phone.
Right.
Which now you're like, I don't even understand what that means. So
well, the first time I came to your office, I thought, oh, that is so far.
Yeah.
I got to really think about it. My family used to have retail stores in the state, and we had one in Chester. I'm like, I think it's near Bermuda Square. It's really far, right?
Yes.
And the first time I went, I'm like, this is like
That's
so not far.
And
And then the next time I was like, oh, hop in the car.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. Your whole perspective was back from the 70s and 80s. And so it's very different. People are just seeking things differently. Access to information leads you to so many other things today that don't stop you from hopping in your car. We're not a walking city. We're primarily get in your car and go. And so it is changed. It's
Yeah. I wonder, I see very much your life path. It feels really clear to me. I see little baby you being stronger and faster than everyone else. And then little baby you grew up, and little baby you was like, I'm gonna teach the children to be strong and fast, right? And then you're just you have a through line, girl. What are you up to? Because I don't, who wakes up and is like, you know what I'm gonna get into? Fundraising. How does that happen?
It's very funny because most people who are in fundraising would not tell you they love asking people for money.
Right.
But because it's not about asking people for money, it's about building relationships. And I'll give you my history very quickly because I don't want to bore you. But I went to college not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. My parents had retail stores, bridal and formal wear, and I thought, oh, how fun! I'd worked.
Was that Lady L? That's where I bought my first wedding dress. Yeah.
So cool. And I worked in high school, middle school and high school, selling wedding gowns when I was, 14 anyway. And I went to college not knowing what I wanted to do. I'd met my husband, my boyfriend at the time, right before college. I went to University of Maryland, and I said, I'm just going to come home and work in the business because I don't know what else to do, right?
Yeah.
And I came home, and very quickly my parents made me in charge and president when they were young and still working. But the business was in trouble long before. It's a really hard industry. Yeah. Anyway, we closed the business. But all during that time, I had volunteered for nonprofits and spent a lot of time working and raising money and being involved and engaged with some of the nonprofits in the community. And I had no clue what I was going to do. I had no money. I wasn't being paid because we couldn't afford to pay us. We were family. And a girlfriend said, we're starting a mortgage company. Come run our mortgage company. I said, okay, I have a mortgage. That's all I know, right?
I have a mortgage.
So 16 years later, it was like the best, worst thing that ever happened to me. It was a wonderful career, but it was still sales. So here I am staying in that same because I was building relationships, all still while working in nonprofit as a volunteer. And then I finally said, I'm going to pick my own career. I'm not going to let it kind of happen to me. And I decided I want to be a professional in the nonprofit world, which was very different than being a volunteer.
Yes.
And so I went to work at American Heart Association doing national fundraising, which I loved. I did love asking companies for millions of dollars, I will say. I did get a charge out of that. But it wasn't about the ask of the money. It was about building the relationship. Yeah. And truly everything I do is really about that, because I'm not going to walk in here and say, hi, how are you? Would you like to give $10,000 to CFIT Community? Yeah. And so it's the people part of me that really loves doing what I do and has brought me to where I am today, which is, so the next job, I was ready to move on from American Heart, and a friend of mine said she knew of a nonprofit that she knew. I knew the founders, and I went to work at the Cameron K. Gallagher Foundation, and that was a part-time job, and I thought I could never work part-time. How could I do that? I had had these very intense careers, but I loved it. It was in the mental health field and helping teens speak up about mental health, and I loved it. But the job became much more than a part-time, and so that's when I said, I'm going to do some consulting, and very quickly knew that if I could help others figure out how to be better at what they're doing and how to make those connections so that when COVID hits, you can feel very comfortable calling someone and say, hey, Lynne, we need $10,000 to provide additional food to these people who just lost their job.
Yeah.
That you're not asking for money, you're saying, hey, friend, I need you. Mm-hmm. And so that's really my goal, is to help people get to that position where they have those relationships. And whether it's we need to feed people or we need resources to connect more people, whatever it is, that these people who are providing such basic services to our community can really do it better. So I feel like everything I've done is all related.
Yeah.
But if you look at it on a resume, they don't really look connected. But if you think about it, they've always been about building relationships and helping people get to the next step. So that's kind of where
No, I'm sure that story will be really encouraging, because I think my trajectory looks a lot less like Miss Lynn's, even though we are
at the same.
Yes,
right.
But I have had every job till Sunday. I started working when I was 11, and my resume is kind of wild and very long at this point. And so I think for our younger listeners, for us, like staying in a corporation or a county for 20 years is untenable. We can't afford it, right? Like we will never make enough money to survive if we do that. So I think, like, thank you for sharing your story, because I am feeling a lot of like work anxiety right now, and knowing that you have done all the things and have learned all the things and have tried all the things and the things have worked for you. Like that's really encouraging to my heart right now, and I'm sure it will be encouraging to other people's hearts that are watching. So thank you for sharing.
Sure. I think two things are important to remember is to follow your passion. You still have to eat and live, but also have belief in yourself. And I was in a networking group meeting the other day, and the woman was the speaker, and she's a coach, a life coach, and she was talking about having self-worth. And I told this sort of embarrassing story, and it made me really realize that no matter where you are in your journey, or how old you are, or how young you are, you value what you have and what you bring to the table. So when I was a mortgage broker and I was getting started, and it was all commission, right? And so I'm trying to meet anybody that could refer business to me. And I meet this realtor, and he says to me, I expect you to be available even when you're in the bathroom.
Bye.
And my first reaction was like, sure, whatever you need. And I went home, and it's been 20 plus years, no, probably 15 years since that was said to me. And it still annoys me that I didn't say, wait a minute. I'm worth you waiting for, and I'm worth, and you think about it, like I was so desperate for business and to make a place for myself in that business, but it taught me to think about, we all have value in what we're doing, and making sure that, you believe that yourself, or other people won't believe it. And so it can transfer to anything. I think about so many people who have had different careers, but they're all somehow connected, because who you are is who you are. And you can learn the skill, but what brings you to that job, or what makes you good at it, is because of who you are.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Well, and like you said, with your journey, there is a common thing. So I taught, and then I've had administrative. My second part of my career, I was a program director.
Right.
So I helped hire teachers and train teachers, and and get grants. Like the coolest thing, you get a big grant. And so I was health and physical education.
Yeah.
Obviously, you figured that out. We had, this is a long time ago, pedometers and heart rate monitors and those kind of things and I could watch these teachers, what I had helped create made them just be able to go do phenomenal things. Yeah. And then the same thing in my current work position, but it's the same thing with this CFIC community. Yeah. It's, even though things have switched, and I think the reason CFIC community, and we've mentioned this before, has been able to get further than other initiatives that we've tried is because we did cross paths because of partnerships with other groups. We did get hooked up with somebody like Nannette who could help us put the pieces in place. Yeah. Because like I said, the county, we've had another nonprofit we started in 2002 that was called the Coalition for Active Children. So it focused on families and youth in Chesterfield, really hardworking health department, school division, county people. But we didn't have somebody to tell us, you have to go find outside partners and you have to find funding so you can get these things going. So we just treaded water and never could pick. So, and actually that's another part of this because I had been part of that initiative. We've really taken the heart of what that group was trying to do and have rolled it over into this. So I'm kind of determined that I will make sure that we get it to because you want to see people as a teacher, you know when you've helped a student out, that feeling. Yeah. I mean, I had just had this discussion with my daughter the other day about she's in the mortgage industry. So you have to find, and she feels like I'm on the hamster wheel because the mortgage these days is absolutely crazy. But at the end of the day, do you feel like you've done something good for other people if that's what you, and if you're in education, none of us do it for the money. Right. And people that talk about having all summer off, you want to have a chat with them about what you do all summer to prepare. And yes. And
you don't get paid for the summer. But your salary is just extended throughout the year. You only get paid for 10 months, children.
Yeah.
But also you have really pushed yourself, and I think everyone on the team, a little bit outside the comfort zone of what you were used to doing, and taking this on and doing this, as I say, as their part-time job, which is really probably 2 full-time jobs that you have.
As my husband reminded me this morning, you're doing what on a holiday weekend?
I know.
Yeah, I'm going to chat.
But pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And I'm very comfortable talking to people, but honestly met the woman from Virginia Credit Union, Angela, because we were at the chamber does this inner-city visit, and people go to other cities to learn about what they're doing and how you can bring it back to Richmond. She was there with Virginia Credit Union. I was there with the Cameron K. Gallagher Foundation. She was sitting at a table at a dinner party. It was a cocktail thing. I was sort of by myself. I came and I said, "Can I sit?" And we started talking, and we become dear friends. But that's how we connected. But, pushing yourself outside of, I could just roam around and talk to little groups. But really sitting down and having that meaningful conversation with somebody I didn't know was just another way to say, I'm going to put myself out there, and I want to meet anybody I can that's going to, that we can have a mutual relationship and really learn from each other.
Yeah. Well, we are definitely over time, and I apologize because it is a holiday weekend. I'm curious, in your line of work now, and I do mean your separate lines of work, I want to be clear about that. What's one piece of information I can share with my neighbors to make them more well? And I mean neighbors in the sort of biblical sense, anyone that I come into contact with. What's one thing that you know that I can share when I leave here?
Well, I would say one, and we had mentioned the last year and a half and the differences that for people to understand that no one is how they project themselves on Facebook or Instagram or social media. Wow. Everyone needs assistance, and it's not weak to reach out. So find someone that will listen to you, whether it's a friend or a mental health person or something, but just know that you're not alone, and talking and reaching out is really a very strong thing to do, not the opposite.
Yeah,
that's true. Mine's probably along the same lines. Be true to yourself, don't, and I think of it more in your job because you spend more time at your job than you do at home with your family and waking hours. Be true to what makes you happy. And, when I was in the mortgage business, it was wonderful and I loved it. And, it's a great career, but I got very burnt out, and I was afraid to sort of let it go because it was such a great opportunity for my family to benefit. But I finally said to myself, you don't like coming to work. So it wasn't the job, the place, but be able to say, you know what, it's time for me to move on. Yeah. And I think often people stay in a career because that's what you do. But find what makes you happy and find a way to make that happen. And I think that's, sometimes it's difficult, but the best things are not often handed to you.
Hard and good are longtime bedfellows.
Yeah, yeah. This is not a marathon. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a really fun conversation.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being gregarious with me.
Guys. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. So where do we find you as of now, or do we need to wait on that?
No. So while the website is being developed, the easiest way to get us is via email.
Okay.
And shocker, our email address is cfitcommunity@gmail.com.
Love it.
So if there's anybody out there that has, and it doesn't matter if it's a resident from another place, if people have ideas or comments, or if there's possible partners, in those types of things, if there are leaders from other areas, having the teacher background, all I want to do is help share if it's been a success for me, I'd said teachers always steal things from each other, and people said that's a bad word. I'm like, no, we steal it and then we make it our own. But we would love, as we get all of this up and running, to be able to reach out to other communities, whether it's in regional Richmond or it's somewhere else, and say, here's our playbook and here's how we did it. However, because we want it to be a movement across the country to, help people focus on what's most important and overall well-being. Wow. You can't really get more important than that.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And for me, the best place is either my Facebook page, Shore Fundraising Strategies, or my email, NannetteShor@gmail.com. And I'm going to spell it. I know it's catty, but it's not an easy name to spell. NANNETTESHOR.
No E on that one.
No E, but lots of letters in the first name.
Yes.
All the letters.
All the double letters.
Yep, all the double letters.
Very French.
Exactly.
Nannette, right? That would be it?
It is, it's French.
Well, thank you all. This has been really fun. I really appreciate it, and we're excited for you to come back in a year or two and tell us more.
Absolutely. We'll have lots to tell.
Yes, we will.
Bye, y'all. We'll see you next week.
As long as we get this coffee again.
I love this coffee, y'all.